Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Max and Ben Talk Hockey. And this is going to be our second episode of Draft Talk, where Max and I will be talking about the players who've been drafted in this past 2020 NHL draft. A couple side notes that Max and I decided on. We will still be doing three teams. However, we will only be doing players that have been drafted in the first, second, third, or fourth rounds of this draft because just the fifth, sixth, and seventh round picks, they're just not as interesting. If they make it to the NHL, that's fun, but if they don't, that's just like you're not expected to. But these guys, the ones that we're going to be talking about, the bar is set high for them, and they should be able to make it to the NHL unless something drastic happens. So today we will be talking about the Buffalo Sabres, the Calgary Flames, and the Carolina Hurricanes. As usual, I will be talking about the player's career and how they got to the point of being drafted and what their specialty is. I might drop in a few quotes from Elite Prospects Guide. And Max will be talking about their future and how they can translate into a key contributor on the team that they're currently at. So we're going to be starting off with the Buffalo Sabres with the 8th overall pick in the 2020 NHL draft, where from the Ottawa 67s, the Sabres selected Jack Quinn. He's from Cobden, Ontario. He's 6'0", 176 pounds, so he's a bit on the light side. He can play both wings and he shoots right. He played Double A until he was U18. He played in Upper OV Aces. Never heard of that club. But all he has is just he's played in Double A, and I guess and the reason that he switched to Triple A was because in his last Double A season, in 30 games, he had 38 goals and 62 points. He then went to the Canada Lasers in Triple A hockey and had 52 points in 45 games. And then he transitioned for a season to the Junior A, so CCHL, where he had 46 points in 49 games. So that's really good. And he had his first call-up to the OHL with the Ottawa 67s for 8 games, and he had that one assist. So that's pretty good. And in 2018-2019, his first full season in the OHL, he had 32 points in 61 games. So that's meh, but people are expecting him to make a giant shift. And people are actually expecting great things out of him. And he delivered. He had 89 points in 62 games, with 52 goals and 37 assists. He had 32 penalty minutes, and I'm going to reiterate this almost every single time. Plus minus isn't the best stat, but he was a plus 48. Like, he was really good. And he will be representing Canada at the World Juniors this year, wrecking the World Juniors because, like, he's on Canada and Canada's predicted to win the whole thing. And yeah, a quote from Elite Prospects is, "He's always manipulating opposing defensemen as a puck carrier, baiting a response, and then threading the puck through the opening this sequence created. Quinn can get a 10-bell shot off either foot, and he deploys a wide array of release points to ensure that the puck gets through any manner of situations." So if I were to characterize him in one of those NHL 21 like situations, is he a playmaker, grinder, enforcer, power forward, sniper? He's definitely a sniper because he can score. Like, we saw that happen when he was playing Double A and in the OHL. So that's his past. Max, what about his future?
All right. I think you explained everything really well there. I think he's a very good player. I'm not sure if I would have picked him at 8, especially for the Sabres, but I definitely see some scouts who put him there. I think he's probably the most controversial top 10 candidate in that draft, but I think he could be a true high-end talent in the future. I think top 6 forward is how I describe him, not within the next 3 years, maybe down the road to 5-ish years. But it goes without saying he's a great player. And for Buffalo, this is a decent pick for them. As you said, he's a sniper. Helping Eichel, Hall, Ristolainen, and Dahlin. I think Buffalo every year is just getting better by the prospects that they get. And we saw them a couple of years ago. They had Eichel, and that's really it. And every year they just keep adding on to their draft class. And I think down the road in 3-4 years, I think they're going to be Stanley Cup contenders. So Buffalo, this is a controversial pick. I'd probably grade it like a B plus, but there are definitely other options. But we'll see how this pans out in the future.
Yeah. I honestly didn't like that pick too much because the next pick was Marco Rossi, but two picks after that was the pick after that was Cole Perfetti, who was predicted to go top 5. So basically, one caveat which I can praise Buffalo is they need goals. As basically they need goals and stops. Their defense is perfectly fine. It could obviously be better, but they have the young core around it. They have a playmaker, Jack Eichel, and hopefully with the addition of Taylor Hall, he's not Taylor Hall from a year ago, he's Taylor Hall from 2 years ago, where he had 92 points. And they're just adding on, and yeah, I think all they need is a couple goals, and they can be great. Because we saw they were a low scoring team, but they could also keep their puck out of their net. They just let up but they just didn't score enough goals. Anyway, moving on. I really liked the Buffalo Sabres picking John Jason Peterka at 34th overall. He was predicted to go 20th overall by Bob McKenzie on the NBCSN draft board. And yeah, so this guy JG Peterka, he played in the DL for EHC Munich, and he's 18. He's 5'11", 192, and he's a winger or a center, and he shoots left. He was born in Munich, and he's been playing in the DEL for the past 2 years. And the thing about the DEL is it's a men's league, and it's a really competitive one. So when you get guys like Tim Stützle, and this guy John Jason Peterka, and when you look at their numbers and they're like, wow, he's under a point a game. He's way under a point a game. This guy JG Peterka, he had 42 games. He had 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points, and that's it. What the hell has he been doing the whole season in Germany? But no, there's a lot more under that. The DEL is a league where it's like a men's league and they're trying to win. They're not trying to develop. This isn't the CHL, where they're trying to develop prospects to make it to the NHL. These guys have reached – most of the guys in the DL have just reached their limit and they're never going to make it to the NHL. But then you get some of the teenagers, and this is this thing with most European leagues where, yeah, it's not developmental. You're trying to win a championship. And right now he is on loan this year to EC Salzburg, so that's in Austria. And in 12 games, 16 points. That's perfectly fine. And honestly, the reason that he transitioned and the reason that he played in the DEL last year was because the season before that, in 18-19, he played with a youth team, RB Hockey Academy in the Czech League, and he had 94 points in 48 games. He tore it up. He was unstoppable. He was over 2 points a game. He's gonna be representing Germany at the World Juniors, and right now in all Germany international games, in 3 games, two goals, 0 assists, 2 points. That's fine. Plays with a little chip on his shoulder. He has 12 penalty minutes in 12 games this season, so that's pretty good. Honestly, this could have been the steal for the Sabres. Max, what do you think?
I think you hit everything there. This is by far, I think, one of the best picks I even saw in the draft. As you said, he's expected to go, 20s and by a lot of scouts. They got a good steal from him. I got a couple quotes here from the general manager and coach. Actually, before this pick even happened, they had the 38th and 100th overall pick, which they traded to the San Jose Sharks for the 34th overall pick, which they picked him. So they moved up 4 spots to pick him, which means they obviously had their eye on him. So the general manager said, we were trying hard yesterday. I think that's why I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, because I was thinking about him. I got in the office this morning early, and we started going to work on it. So the Buffalo Sabres obviously had their eye on him. And after he was drafted, he said, "My goal is for sure to play as soon as possible in the NHL and help the Buffalo Sabres win a Stanley Cup." So he's obviously a pretty confident player, and he wants to join the Buffalo Sabres. I think he has the potential to be a top, uh, maybe top 4D defenseman, maybe right around there. But I think he'll come to the
He's
NHL
a
soon.
center. That's weird. He's a
Oh,
center. Mm-hmm.
sorry, sorry, meant top 6 forward. But I think he'll come in soon. I think it'll be sooner than later. I don't think he's coming in 5 years, maybe 3 or 2.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you. It's fine. It's a fine pick. I saw this video on YouTube where it was the Sabres behind the scenes for this draft, and like they were talking about picking Jack Quinn, and like he's such a goal scorer. That's where I started talking about the goals, because I remembered that video, and all they talked about was them needing more goals. And like the same thing with JJ Paterka, like they traded him, or they traded for him because he can score. He scores a lot. And yeah, that's basically all we have so far, and we hope he's going to do well with Germany in the World Juniors. We're going to be switching over the um the Calgary Flames, where they picked Connor Zary from the Kamloops Blazers, 24th overall. He's from Saskatchewan, and he played Double A up until his U18 year, up until 2015. He just played Double A, and that's because in 30 games in Double A, he had 44 goals, 37 assists for 81 points. That's like well over 2 points a game. That got him into the WHL in 2017, 2018, where he had 29 goals. 29 points in 68 games, which is very good, but not great. And then next year, 67 points in 63 games. That's better, but they need more of a step from him. And what happened is, as the assistant captain in 2019, 2020, in 57 games, 38 goals, 48 assists for 86 points. He dished the puck. It's like a puck for you, a puck for you, a puck for you. He had 51 penalty minutes, which could be a criticism because Calgary doesn't really have that many tough guys. But he will be learning from one of the best penalty takers in the league with Milan Lucic. He knows how he can. Milan Lucic, of all people, knows how to responsibly take penalties and how to because he played on Boston. That's basically it. And also just throwing it in there, he had a 30. He had a plus 30 on plus minus. He's going to be representing Canada in the U20 in the World Juniors this year. In last year's World Juniors, in 7 games, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points. So he can definitely score against international competition. So, and a quote from Elite Prospects is, "It's Zary's shot that leads the way. He's a deceptive triggerman, one with excellent shot placement, a deceptive release, and the ability to fire two-touch missiles on a moment's notice. His ability to collect difficult passes is a real difference maker. He doesn't often break stride to receive passes either, maintaining the pace of his team's attack." So from this, it's clear that the Calgary Flames picked a really good player. He's a playmaker, which is concerning because personally, the Calgary Flames have way too many playmakers, and I'm sure that might like override their team in a couple of years. But seems like a good pick. Max, what about you?
Yeah. I'd actually call him more of a two-way forward. He's smart, competitive player. He's great on both sides of the puck, great skill level, and he can make plays at speed. I'd call him more of a Bo Horvat, Derek Brassard type of guy. But as you said, he had plus 30, plus minus. Not many players are able to do things like that. The Flames traded with the New York Rangers and Washington Capitals multiple times, moving around picks. So overall, they ended up trading down from 19th to 22nd and then to 24th to select him, which gave him 2 third-round selections. So overall, they were definitely looking for quantity draft picks over quality draft picks. So he's projected to go 18 in a lot of places. So And there are multiple scouting reports that I know that had him at 16. So honestly, I think this is a pretty good steal for them. We'll see how he pans out in the future, of course. In terms of potential, I'd maybe go top six forward. Maybe 3, 4, 5-ish years. We'll see him in the NHL. But definitely in the World Juniors, it's gonna be fun to watch him.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the things I am going to do is I will watch every single World Juniors recap on YouTube because I want to see these draft picks do so well. Because one of the things that I've gotten interested to is the draft and just like watching these young guys because it's always fun to watch the NHL, but it's always fun to see guys who just like are score over a point a game, and it's just like they're playing in rookie mode in NHL 21, basically. It's just so fun to see them. Anyway, so the next guy that we're going to be talking about is Jan Kuznetsov. Honestly, he's an overager. He's a defenseman. He shoots left. He's 6'4" and 209 pounds, so he's tall. He played in Russia up until 2017, 2018, and then immigrated to the USA to play for the Sioux Falls Stampede of the USHL. But in 34 games, only 4 assists. Then he moved to the University of Connecticut for NCAA hockey in 2019, 2020. So there is your overager person, because he moved there when he was 18, most likely. And in 34 games, 11 points. Honestly, this is a pick where I can criticize the Flames because they're not he's not doing anything. All he does is he doesn't even put up that many points. And in international competitions with Russia in 2019, 2020, he had 1 assist in 6 games. That's not good. He's going to be representing Russia for the U20 tournament, but there's not much hype around him personally, and I don't like this pick at all. I think they could have picked someone a lot better than him.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with getting a really very physical guy in round 2 when they could definitely use a better pick, definitely a better pick here. But this is what so he's a very physical player for sure. This is what he said: when I play physical, I play good. When I don't, it's so-so. So he's definitely a huge guy. They definitely selected him for, the brawn side of him. Like, they want him to come in to the Flames and be physical. I think he's got potential to maybe be on the third pair as a defenseman, but there is some good in him. He was the youngest NCAA Division I player, where he had 11 points in 34 games at University of Connecticut. So he definitely has some good things on his resume, but I think, as you said, I don't think this is the right pick for Calgary. He's a great defense. He's a defenseman who has quick feet, closes gaps well, great puck retrieval ability, and it has a good reaction to the play, makes good exit passes from the defensive zone. You're not hearing much about his offense and his scoring and his shot. As a comparable player, I'd give him to Seth Jones. There are some scouts that do have some see potential in him. I don't. I think maybe 5 years he'll come in as a third pair. If that's with injuries and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Just this one praise in 2 games this year. He has 1 assist, but honestly, it's not enough to convince me that he's going to do that well. Okay, so the next person that we're going to be talking about is a defender who I really like, Jeremy Porat out of St. John Sea Dogs of the QMJHL. Shout out Brady Burns and Nicholas Deacon, who we've interviewed, also from St. John. He's from Salberry de Valleyfield in Quebec, and he was 72nd overall pick, 3rd round by the Calgary Flames. This current season in the QMJHL, 15 games, 5 goals, 11 assists, 16 points, 16 penalty minutes, but a -3. The St. John Sea Dogs aren't the best of teams. But last year, in 64 games, he had 20 goals, 33 assists, and 53 points. But he had 50 penalty minutes, so taking penalties is a bit of a problem. But also, Calgary doesn't really have that many penalty takers. But he was a -25 that past season also. And he is not going to represent the Calgary Flames in the World Juniors. but I'm excited. I think big things are expected out of him. A quote is, he uses the boards, teammates, and deception to create breakouts with relative ease. While carrying the puck through the neutral zone, Poirier wields the dotted line to shift defenders from his path and attacks on an arc as he transitions play into the offensive zone. He's a pretty crafty stick handler too, and can occasionally take the puck into high danger areas himself. Also, a bit of a side note, he played with William Villeneuve, and he's still playing with him on the same pair. Villeneuve was a fourth-round pick of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who we'll eventually get to. Um, yeah, but anyway, and Villeneuve was also extremely good. So those two as a combo have been really nice. So Max, what do you think? How is he gonna do?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Really good pick for them. First among QMJHL defenseman in goals, second, tied for second in points. He helped Team Canada get silver at the Gretzky Cup with 3 points in 5 games. The general manager says he has a NHL shot today. I think he'll come into the NHL in 2-3 years, and I think he'll go right on the second pair, something like that. Comparable player for me is PK Subban. He's got that shot. Everybody's. You don't want to get in front of a Subban shot. You don't want to get in front of his shot. He likes to model his game after Thomas Chabot on the Ottawa Senators, which I think is pretty cool. But he's definitely a highly skilled offensive defenseman, game-breaking ability. He leads and joins the rush with quick transitions, creates offense for his team, great shot and ability to find the right shooting lanes. Again, that also sounds like a lot like Subban. I really like this pick for them. I don't see any player that was better than available than him. And Calgary Flames, they could always help defensively. They got offensive talent and Gaudreau and a lot of other players, but I think it's always good to get a couple of defensive prospects and just see how they do.
Yeah, that's I totally agree with you there. And moving on, we're gonna talk about someone who honestly, he's also another defender. They took a lot of defenders in this draft. But honestly, looking at his stats right now, there's not much that's pleasing to the eye. Jacob Boltman, out of Edina, Minnesota. He's a right shot D, and he's 6'1" and 187 pounds. With Adina High as a captain this past season, in 25 games, he only had 13 points, 4 goals, and 9 assists. And he moved to Lincoln, Nebraska to go to the Lincoln Stars. And in 17 games, just 9 points, but 20 penalty minutes. So he does know how to take penalties. And this current season, as assistant captain, 0 points in 6 games. I don't like this pick. I don't agree with picking people out of high school this early. Just because their high school hockey isn't honestly isn't the best. Um, but he is going to the University of Minnesota to play for the Golden Gophers in a few years. So hopefully he'll be good then. He's not on any World Junior roster, nor do we think he'll be on one. Honestly, his potential isn't that high. There isn't even a quote on him that I can use, and yeah, that's basically it. So Max, what do you think?
I think you hit everything there. This is definitely an interesting pick. At the main scouting report, he's expected to go 288. So for him to go 113, that says a lot. I'm not sure what they see in him. As he said, 13 points in 25 games playing high school. I mean, I feel like most NHL players that played in high school had like at least 2 or 3 points per game. So it's definitely interesting to see him get picked. But he's a right shot, good skater, and more of a move the puck and follow the place type of style. You don't see many right-handed defensemen in the NHL right now, but he's definitely a real solid team guy. And I think when you kind of get that mentality of a team guy, there's going to be a spot for him in the NHL if he continues. I only found one quote on him. It doesn't say much. I tried to find video on him. I also didn't see much other than him being join the rush, you get back, first guy back. So he's definitely a good skater. I think he'll be a good prospect once he gets out of college. In terms of an NHL, I think more an AHL first line, first D pair.
Yeah, I really don't like this pick at all. But moving on, we're going to be talking about Daniil Chechlev, a goalie, the first goalie that we've talked about. Max and I are very happy. We're both goalies anyway. He was absolutely spectacular in the VHL and in the MHL, which is Russia Juniors and Russia Minors. With HK Razian this current season, 14 games, he has a 2.59 save percentage and a 2.59 goals against and a 915 save percentage. He's 6-3-2. And a 915 save percentage is really good in the NHL. It's perfectly good. It's where a lot of goalies are. That's like the average benchmark. If you're under it, you're meh, and if you're over it, you're really good. But in the MHL, which is Russia Juniors, 12 games, exactly 2 goals against. His record 11-1-0. He just wins. And because of that, he has a 938 save percentage. A 938, which is shocking because in the past season, with that same team, in 49 games, his record was 24-20-3, and he had a 922, which is still great. But 938 is a large jump. So I do believe that the Calgary Flames struck it rich with this guy. And also the fourth round is exactly where you pick goalies. And nowadays, Russian is the way to go. It's always shifted between like countries of who gets the best goalies, but it was Canada for a really long time. It's never really been the U.S. It was Finland uh, before it switched to Russia. Um, and because like look at Vasilevsky, look at Samsonov, look at Askarov, like they're all Russian, and it's just the Russian goalie machine factory that just pumps out all the goalies. So I really like this pick. Although there isn't a quote, looks like he can be starter for the Flames in a couple of years. Max, what about you?
Okay, I just looked at the stat. First 5 games this year, first 5 games in the season, his save percentage was 953 in his first 5 games. Goes against average 133. That is incredible. I have a lot of potential in this guy. I see a lot of potential in him. Um, it's not a Flames draft year unless they draft a goalie. They have a lot of good prospects right now. Dustin Wolf, Tyler Parsons, Zaggy Doolin. So it's definitely a little bit crowded there. But it's without doubt that one of those guys, maybe even him, we'll see break out into the NHL in a couple of years. It's a question mark for them drafting a goalie, to add to their prospects, but I think it's the right pick for them. His skating in particular is really great. I couldn't find much video on this guy, but according to the Flames goaltending coach, they spent a lot of time researching him, and they really liked him. In terms of a comparable player, I feel like he kind of has his own playing style, but I could kind of compare it to Shesterkin on the Rangers. Ben's gonna like that. But he's a very quick, very good skater. He never gives up on a puck. He can make a bad save. He might give off a bad rebound here and there, but he's always battling for that next puck. He checks a lot of boxes for Calgary in terms of their defense likes to keep the puck moving. You got guys like Gaudreau. You want that puck moving. You want to tire out the team. You want to get Gaudreau with the puck and let him score. So overall, I like this pick. Fourth round, I think that's a pretty good pick for them.
Yeah, I also agree with you. I think you hit everything. And now that it wraps us up with the Calgary Flames. And we also covered the Buffalo Sabres. If you didn't notice, they only had 2 picks in this draft. But now we will be talking about the Carolina Hurricanes. And with the pick that the Hurricanes got from the Leafs in the Patrick Marleau trade, which was Patrick Marleau and a first-round pick or a 6th-round pick, and that's a whole cap shenaniganery, they picked Seth Jarvis, 13th overall. He was phenomenal, I have to say, with the Portland Winterhawks of the WHL. This past season, he had 98 points in 58 games, 56 assists, and 42 goals, which is great. But considering that the season before that, he had only 39 points in 61 games. And while playing for Canada, he had 5 points in 6 games, which is extremely good. I think he's going to be great, and so does Elite Prospects. His ability to work in tight spaces seems as good as any. Jarvis is one of the best attackers in the draft. With a defender on his back, he seeks out pressure with gear changes or stops and starts, and then creatively pulls away with an arsenal of moves. As a gifted passer and shooter, he's the type of player who wants the puck on his stick. So I can definitely label him as a playmaker right off the bat, given like how many assists he has. But also he has a lot of goals as well. So I can also and also Elite Prospects agrees with me. He can be a sniper as well. I think he has elite potential, and I think he can be a first liner in a few years for the Hurricanes. What about you, Max?
Yeah. So he's very good off the ice. He's obviously good on the ice, but they Carolina kind of have a thing with going for guys who are agile and athletic. Those guys who can make those sudden movements. Very lateral. That's something that you need for Carolina. I think definitely. So Jarvis is a very, very good player. Carolina had a thing this draft year with drafting agile and athletic guys. He could move very well laterally, which kind of reminds me of Aho and Svechnikov, who are also on the Carolina Hurricanes. And I think for sure this is a really good pick. I definitely see him in the future as a top 6 forward without a doubt in a couple of years. I think like his maximum potential could be on the first line playing with Aho and Svechnikov, but it'll take time to see, of course. But adding another young guy to an already young team, I think that's really good for them. The Carolina Hurricanes are a very strong offensive team, and to draft a forward in the first round, it only makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on, we're talking about Noel Gunler, a second-round pick, 41st overall by the Carolina Hurricanes. He's 19, and he's 6'2" and 176, so he has some height, and he's a winger. He has been playing in the SHL for the past 3 years. In this past season, his draft year, he had 13 points in 45 games, and that's little, but the SHL is a men's league, and it's really hard for people, for young guys and teenagers to crack an SHL lineup. He's been playing for 2 different SHL teams. Was probably traded. He played for Julia and then Birnas. I'm just going to go ahead with the pronunciation. In each of those clubs, so with Julia in 10 games and in Birnas in 8, he had 4 goals and 2 assists. So 6 points combined. His plus minus isn't looking that good, but that's just plus minus. And he takes a decent amount of penalties, so that's never really a concern. I think he can be a perfectly normal winger. He will be representing Sweden at the World Juniors this year. And a quote is, Gunler creates the majority of his offense with off-the-puck skating patterns, the ability to find space, and relatively good timing. He's got a great shot, and if someone can carry the puck into the offensive zone or dig it out on retrievals for him, watch out. He's able to tag anywhere on the net with time and space. So it sounds like he's a really complete player. He's been above a point a game in like juniors, and which is why he's in men's right now. And yeah, I think he can be a key contributor to the Hurricanes. So Max, what do you think?
I agree, especially what you said about his shot. He's got an excellent shot. Definitely a great forward. He reminds me a little bit of Teravainen, who's also on the Carolina Hurricanes. So according to his to some of his coaches, like off the ice coaches, not on the ice, He's currently set up on a nutrition and workout routine. He's planning to add 20 pounds of muscle by the end of the season. Just in case you guys wanted to know whether drafting, a guy who's pretty tall but not the heaviest. So I think by the time of the season, he'll probably be definitely closer to 200 pounds. So he's a guy who he could possibly throw his body around, which is something Carolina doesn't excel in. He's very field forward. That's pretty much it.
I think you've hit all the notes there, and I think he can be really good. And this next player is Vasily Ponomaryov from Russia. He is 5'10" and 181 pounds, and he's a center or winger. Doesn't really matter for him. He's 53rd overall pick, second round this year. And Elite Prospect says the motor on this kid is unrelenting. He backtracks well through the neutral zone, consistently applies back pressure, and is dodged in 50-50 puck battles. He is legitimately two-way center, the type that makes his presence felt at every corner on the ice. And he played this past season with the Shawinigan Cataracts of the QMJHL, 57 games and points, 18 goals, and 31 assists. So that's pretty good. And this season, as an assistant captain, in 9 games, he had 9 points, 5 goals, 4 assists. Taking penalties, he doesn't take that many penalties. He'll be fine. And he will be representing Russia for the World Junior Tournament this upcoming month. Actually, in a few days, by the way. I think he's a really complete player. He's at a point of game right now, and I think this is a decent pick. It's not great, but it's not that bad. He doesn't look like he's going to turn into a bust, but he's not going to turn into like Hall of Famer. Max, what do you think?
Yeah, he's definitely a fast forward. When they asked him what type of player he is, he said, "I'll help in the defensive zone and find a solution in the offensive zone." That's literally the definition of two-way. He's got a solid shot, strong on his feet. I think it's pretty straightforward. This is, fast guy. He's, exactly what Carolina's looking for. I couldn't have thought of like a more, Carolina Hurricanes pick than him. In terms of potential, I think he's second round. You're not expecting a Hall of Famer like you said, but I don't know. We'll definitely see what happens. I don't see him being the best player, in the Hurricanes in a couple of years, but I think he'll definitely be up there, as a middle type of guy on the team.
Yeah, I totally agree. He can definitely be in the middle for this Hurricanes team. And this next pick, also Russian, but is staying in Russia, Alexander Nikishin. He's 6'4" and 216 pounds at 19, and he's a left shot D. He's a third round pick, 69th in ice overall by the Carolina Hurricanes. And he has been playing in the KHL, VHL, and MHL, but he's been primarily playing in the KHL. And this year, as a defender, he has 3 points in 15 games, which is really good as a teenager in a very, very low scoring league. I can't emphasize how low this scoring in this league is. It's like literally there's like barely anything. He's really good. I don't really see that much in him. But if he tears it up in the KHL this season, that would be great, and I'll look stupid. But I think he can be like second or third pair D. I don't see much in him. He is big, but he doesn't take that many penalties, which is concerning because if you're big, you should be taking a lot of penalties. That's just what I think, and he's not going to be playing in any World Juniors. So yeah, Max, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely a bigger player that they selected. He's not like Dougie Hamilton offense. He's definitely more on the defensive side. I'm not sure about this pick. I don't see anything crazy here. In terms of Carolina, they've had, goalies come and go, and I think that the best pick here would, I don't see anything better here. Like, what do they need? And it's not offense. I think they're one of the most offensively talented teams in the league. And they got great defense too. I'm not sure if this is the best pick for them. I would have gone with a goalie or maybe a higher potential defenseman, or trade some of their later picks, like a sixth, seventh, and a third, for a defenseman. I'm not sure at all about this pick. I don't
Yeah,
like it.
yeah, I don't really like it, especially like Russian defensemen that aren't like the best, but they're
Yeah.
passable. And the last player we'll be talking about today is Zion Nybeck out of Sweden. He's 5'8" and 176, so he's really short, and he's 115th overall pick. That's the fourth round. And he's played in the SHL this year with HV71, and 0 goals, 2 assists, 2 points in 18 games. He will be playing at the World Juniors, so we could see how his compete level is against actual like his level players. But I honestly don't see much in him. His junior seasons are extremely well. Like this current season, he played 4 games with the juniors, and he was 5 goals, 3 assists, 8 points. So I think he'll be fine, and I think this is a decent pick, and he pans out great. If he doesn't, that's not good. And well, I'll look like asses. So yeah, that's basically it.
I like this. I like this pick more than their last one. I think if it wasn't for his size, he'd definitely be up there in the second, third round. And he possibly would have been passed over if it wasn't for Carolina. But again, yeah, 5'8", he's pretty small, but he's very fast. He's got a great eye for the net. He had 1.5 points per game, Swedish league. It's fast forward, excellent shot. For the fourth round, I definitely think this is one of their better picks that they could have taken. Again, I would preferably like to see them trade away. Like what do they like? Do they expect him to come into the NHL? Like for a fourth round, I think they could do better things with this. Trade for a defenseman. Or a better goalie. Like that's what they need. They don't need offense, and he's a great player, but I don't know what you're doing. Come on, Carolina.
Yeah, I agree. It's just such a weird pick. Like so many people take flyers in the third round. I'm like, no, just take a good player. Anyway, that's gonna wrap this up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button if you like this video, and hit the subscribe button. Also follow us on Instagram at Max and Ben Talk Hockey. And yeah, that's basically it. So thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy.